Bienvenido.
What does that
Good morning. I think so. So I might
Hola.
be. But hello,
mean?
Bauni.
Assalamu alaikum.
How do you say hello in higher in Urdu?
Marhaba in
How
Arabic.
do you say in Urdu?
Like you don't. You just say
Oh.
assalamu alaikum.
Bauni. Well, that means how are you?
In what?
In Yoruba.
Hi everybody. Welcome back to episode We Don't Know.
Welcome back. I'm actually keeping track. It's episode 15. I think eventually we'll stop saying which episode
We
it
don't
is.
say we haven't been saying it since 10.
Well, I said it. I think I've said it. Correct me if I'm wrong. Down in the comments, even though you don't comment, but comment down in the comments. So today, what are we discussing today? Today we're discussing.
Just, a spew.
Yeah, I mean, just a combination of different topics. One
You know
being
what we haven't been doing though. Before we get to that,
word of the day.
yeah, he's the one who started quote of the day, word of the day, fact of the day, and guess who doesn't do it? Him. I have a fact of the day.
Fact of the day. Let's hear
Joke
it.
of the day. Whatever.
Joke of the day. Let's hear
Well,
it.
a fact of the day.
Let's hear it.
Did you know that?
I did not know.
Did you know that a shrimp's heart is inside of its head? I learned that on TikTok.
And
TikTok teaches you lots of things.
that was your daily dose of facts we don't care about. So
He's so
today we're just going to
disrespectful.
talk about world topics. What we think is,
Wait,
you
but
know.
you didn't give your quote of the day.
Oh, my quote of the day is.
Or fact of the day, or joke of the day. Do you have a joke? You listen to like thousands of.
I don't know.
jokes.
This is a question, actually. I think people use the bathroom in different ways.
Okay.
Like when you're going to take a number 2,
everybody sits.
obviously no one stands and takes number
Okay.
2. I'm talking about when you take a number 2. I'm the type of, this might be too much information, but
Yeah,
I shared it on
I'm
Instagram.
I'm not sure what this is going.
I've shared it on Instagram in past years, but
Yeah.
I'm the type of person when I use the bathroom, no matter where I am, public, in my own home,
You hover.
no, I take off my
Okay, this is.
I take off
getting
my
a little
pants
weird.
and boxers completely. I know some people would just pull it down. I know some people who do the one leg out, one leg in routine. Everything is off. Like I need full range of motion. My legs need to be
That's
spread.
like a baby. A baby does that.
Well, that's just me because I'm a taller guy. So when I sit, you know, like the toilets are usually regular size, but I'm a bigger
comment
guy.
down below
So
and like let him know that that's weird.
yeah. So what type of person are you? Like me, some people just pull their pants down, boxers down.
That's what the average human.
Yeah,
does.
and use the bathroom. Some people pull it down, put one leg out, one leg in. Me, I need pants boxes completely off. So
Apparently, there's this,
complete range of motion.
there's this thing on TikTok where it taught me that you can get like a potty stool or something like that.
Yeah, it just helps you. It lifts your knees up.
yeah.
So it helps you. Yeah, no, I mean, that's true.
That's
Yeah, that's
Another fact
that's true.
of the
That,
day.
you know, that's why when you do like yoga and your knees or you pull your legs towards your knees, you always fart. It just opens everything
Have you guys
up.
seen that also? Gosh, TikTok is just
Yeah.
like filled with.
Yeah. But before we get off into a tangent, today
Anywho,
we're just going to talk about, you know, not our concerns, but what we think is going on in the world right now.
just
What do we
like
think our
big
biggest
things that are going on and.
One of them being friends. Why do I say that? Friends hanging out with other friends that you introduce them to. Does that bother you? For me, it's like, listen, I introduced you to this person, so why are y'all hanging out without me? We have to discuss.
I've had this has happened to me before.
Girl, this happened to you right now, but we ain't gonna talk about it. We ain't gonna talk about it.
No. Okay, so let me.
Somebody just lost a friend.
No. That's not true. So to me, like that, you cannot be upset with that. Like you just can't.
We
Like,
are all upset, but we are not. It's not
you
our right.
can't-
It's not appropriate to
not-
voice it.
Exactly. Like you can vent. Like there's.
Like, bruh, I introduced you to. Why are you guys BFFs now without me?
But we should be open to people being
Of
friends
course.
with whoever they
But
want.
we're just naturally selfish people.
For sure. Like
We're just naturally selfish
obviously
people.
sometimes it makes me feel some type of way, but
Oh,
not
it makes
enough.
her feel a lot of type of
No,
ways.
it doesn't. Why are you exposing me?
I'm just kidding.
Okay, that's one, I guess.
that was just a
He
silly
just
one.
came out to expose me, but that's not true. For those of you who are listening, I don't care who you're friends with. Everybody should be friends with everybody, and you should be able to invite whoever you want and be friends with whoever you want. Simple.
True.
But like, do people feel some type of way about it? You'd be lying if you didn't.
Mm-hmm. And you know what else?
Mm-hmm.
Why does it that feel like every time I see a girl on TV or a lady on TV, there's a new trending eyebrow style? Why is that? First, it was just the regular eyebrows, clean cut.
There's been an evolution.
You know, lining them up so they're super defined, super edged, and then
No,
it went to
off
like
thin.
super thin. Then super edged and clean cut, and then it went to super bushy, like super like unkept, but it is kept, but it's unkept at the same time. But now it's like spaced out.
Why are you staring at everybody's eyebrows?
That's the first thing I noticed, because now I look at some on TV. I look at eyebrows, guys and girls. Their eyebrows look like this.
I was teaching
They're
him.
super spaced out, and she said it was like the soap
I was
something.
teaching him about soap brows, and he was really weirded out. Boys, did you know that girls actually use like a soap bar, and they take that little, they rub it into the soap bar, and then you.
That's weird.
Soap eyebrows.
That's weird. But next it's gonna be unibrows. Shout out Anthony Davis. Lakers 22. Speaking of, never mind.
You are.
Never mind.
Something's going
Hey
on.
man, I'm mad. I didn't get the Travis Scott this morning. I'm upset.
He
And I had
was
friends
really
that did get
upset.
it, and I didn't get it.
He made me get an account for that,
Sneakers at Wendy's days.
and he was gonna sell them.
But
right?
Chicago one's coming out October.
His
Getting ready for
brain. What's going on with you today?
not PTSD.
ADHD.
ADHD. It's that thing. It's acting up
Do you
again.
think you had ADHD as a kid?
Nope.
No, you don't think so.
I knew I had PhD though.
Okay, so what's
For my
our
Kanye West fans, if you know, you know.
Okay, what's another topic that is a big?
I would say social. The reason why we chuckled there is because our cat just woke up from downstairs and we heard her
He was like, "Oh my God, our cats are asleep."
trying to break into the studio.
The studio.
The studio. I'm just sitting in the studio, just trying to.
Get to you.
Okay,
babe.
let's relax.
Oh, wow. That's a TBT song.
I'm definitely gonna zoom in on your picture when you're singing that one.
Hey.
Babe.
Okay,
Social
so
media.
Social media. What about social media? What do you have to say about social media?
It's funny because we're on social media right now. Well, YouTube is considered a social media.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah, speaking of social media, you were just talking about that new social media thingy that was out.
Yeah, so apparently there's this new social media. My younger brother-in-law, her brother told me about it. It's called Real Me or Real Up or
Be
something.
Real.
Be Real.
Something
Be
like
Real.
that. Because another podcast that I was listening to was talking about
which is
it
actually
too.
a good concept. I don't think if people are real enough to do it. So essentially, if you know what it is, it's like the app sends you. It's a social media app. The app sends you a notification of what to post.
No, it'll tell you so what it does, not what to post, but like it'll send you a notification and you have to post in that moment.
Oh,
like,
right. So yeah, it sends you a notification. You have to post in that moment. So
you have
it's
like 2 minutes or something.
It's like you have that 2 minutes to post it. So meaning you have to post then and there. So the app itself, you open it up, it's like it shows your front facing camera and your back facing camera. So it gets like a full image of where you are, what you're doing. Because a lot of people with Instagram, with Twitter, whatever, TikTok, they can fake a lot of stuff. Meaning they could have a picture from Greece or Ibiza that their friends took, and they might post it for themselves, pretending they're there, or just with filters and everything. So that's a cool concept. Or just
like obviously posting like the highlights of your life.
Exactly, the highlights of your life. Exactly. So it's pretty cool. I think the way it works is you take the picture, and you can only see other people's pictures if you post it. So
What
it's
if
a good
you're in the
concept.
bathroom?
You got to take a picture of you either with both your pants off, one leg in, one leg out,
Everybody would unfollow you.
or both legs in.
Everybody would unfollow you.
True. So yeah, social media. I think social media. I think we all know that though, right? We all know social media is very, if used incorrectly, it's very toxic.
I mean, not even used incorrectly. Like even using it correctly can have.
True. Exactly.
Like obviously, it has its perks of like keeping people connected and sharing like good things and happy things in your life. But then obviously there are negative things about social media too, which makes me always think about kids. Like when we have kids. I don't know what how I'm
life is
going
to be crazy. This is 2022. Life's going to be crazy in 2052, 62.
It's
but
crazy.
but I mean, again, social media it could be a great tool to build a brand, expand your knowledge. For me personally, I use social media for all my news.
All his sports.
All my sports. I use Twitter for all my sports news. That's how I just
even
learn
like
different
world
things.
events.
Yeah, world
too,
events. Because as soon as something happens, this is not like we're not. Wall Street Journal or CNN is not going to print out a whole article and email to you right away unless you're subscribed. It's easy for them to post a snippet. It's easy for them to post a snippet of it, post it on social media, and then you go into their website. Look, so it makes,
Can you believe people used to like get their news through newspapers only?
Some people still do.
I know. Like,
Some
I wonder
people
how
still
many people
do.
still actually look at newspapers.
The old generation. That's why when we get
Oh.
older, we'll be like, what's Twitter? What's my, but whatever.
I wonder what will be the next thing, though.
Something that I build. Stay tuned.
Interesting.
Yeah, just in recent, I mean, in light of recent events, I would say domestic violence.
Huge. There was a story that just came out recently in my community about a girl who, trigger warning, this is very like heavy stuff that we're obviously going to talk about, but just like to sum it up more or less, just that, you know, she was in a situation and she actually passed because of it. So it's scary, and
and it's
people need to speak up.
Right,
and I think like with our culture and stuff, like we need to be ones to like look for signs and help those who need it and be there for people. I think that's like the biggest thing, is just like, don't be a bystander.
Right.
In any situation, especially in domestic violence situations. What are your thoughts about it?
I mean, true. I think that, you know, just going off of that situation, it's because I remember talking to one individual, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, who has a very, you know, expansive network of people, who's not in state, actually. I don't know where they live, actually, but who just has expansive knowledge of, you know, a lot of situations, a lot of current events within, you know, certain communities, that the domestic violence thing, especially within relationships and friendship and things like that, there's just a lot going on. But a lot of it's being covered and sheltered just to give off a certain image, right? And I was talking to someone about this yesterday too, actually unrelated, but which is actually a topic I wanted to talk about. But I don't know if you guys know him, Wally Khan, a good friend of mine, my best friend actually. He said he has an idea where he's gonna start talking about just certain things, like different series on his social media platforms, such as, you know, non-negotiables for things like that, because I feel like there's a lot that needs to be talked about, but he's just someone who's very knowledgeable of things like that, so I'll let him kind of handle that. But back to what I was saying, it's just that there's a lot.
Did you get something like that in high school too? Like, were you involved in that, where like mentors, you're talking about like more of like a mentor
it's not, a little
program?
different. No, it's not a mentor program. It's just going to be like his social media thing, talking about different series, or it could turn out to be him talking to actual people in front. But again, it's just, the reason why I said that is because there's just so much going on that we don't know about.
All up for perception. What did
perception,
I say?
but at the same time, it could be just for embarrassment reasons. It could be for
That's perception.
fear. It could be for So, you know, there's a lot going on behind the scenes that
I feel like there's so much like about, and I don't even think it's just like a Desi community or like a specific community. I feel like even in like movies and everything, like perception and what people think of you is always such a heavy, like, I don't know, not a heavy topic, but it's just something that everybody always thinks about. And I feel like that layer needs to like be taken away, and just that, you know, you just don't know what people are going through, so that, and a lot of these topics need to be addressed not just to people, because certain demographics watch certain things.
Right.
So I think that these topics not only need to be addressed within like our age, you know, demographic, but also like the adults. I feel like that's or, you know, our parents and things like that. And these are topics that I feel like weren't talked about before.
Yeah.
You know, or they were just like, you know, all these taboo topics that we're trying to bring to light. And, you know, there's so many other, I know, like local mosques do things called like Real Talk, where they bring up taboo topics. But I think those topics are all being brought towards our generation, which is great because we are obviously the future. But then also these topics need to be addressed to people. And I think the biggest problem is that people like to say, well, that's just how they were raised. That's just how they were brought up. They won't change. Like, that's just their mentality. And I think that's such a wrong way to view things. And the only way to change that is by addressing these topics. So like sermons, khutbahs, same thing, you know, regardless of what religion or anything you are, these topics need to be brought up to everybody,
Right.
you know.
And then, but I mean, even with that, there's just like a fine line, which I definitely agree. But especially with like tying that to like the social media aspect of it, there's such like a fine line of how to go about things, because at the end of the day, you're trying to push something, especially with social media, whether it's good or bad. For example, let's say you are a, you know, swimsuit, you know, swim trunks, bikini brand, clothing brand, right? Especially for guys, right? And women too, but I'm a guy, so I can speak on this. It's easier for me, and this is just speaking from a visual perspective, it's easier for me to say, to look on TV or an ad and see a commercial with a guy who has some trunks on, right, which trying to sell, and the guy is in extremely good shape, like 12-pack, pecs, biceps, everything, versus the opposite. Like, I'd be more inclined to buy that. Why? Because when I see that, I'm envisioning myself in that. So as a brand, you obviously have to push that narrative of looking like or wearing this is what people would see you as. So that's what they're trying to push. But I feel like it's upon us to know that that's not reality. More people don't look like that. Like, there are a few people who look like this versus people who do. So, and I think that when we start falling in love with, I have to get this because I'm gonna look like this, then that's when it starts to become a problem, because now you're believing to the hype. Now you're pushing someone else's narrative on friends and family,
or just tying it
like
back to social media, where like perception is everything. You might think, I mean, like, you know, every couple has their issues, but then when you see like all these couples happy or posting good things, like, you think like, dang, they don't go through, like, they must be so happy. And then you know, look back into yourself and you think about all the things that go wrong in your marriage or your friendships or your family, you know.
Right.
And then like, that's it's so toxic.
It is.
And I feel like all of these topics, like domestic violence, social media, perception, all of them go hand in hand,
right.
I think, you know.
Right, because it's about essentially one side having power over the other, where it's a social media brand where you're like, we have this, I know you want it, so I can charge this amount of price, and you guys really want it, so you guys are going to do whatever you can, whether it's back to the swimming trunks or bikini. I want to, you know, have a certain body image so I can wear that. So the brand has that power over you. Same thing for relationship. If, you know, if you're in a household where, so just basic stereotype where one party doesn't work, right? So it's where the mom or the dad or the husband or the wife, one doesn't work and the other one does. So it's not like I provide the financial assistance and benefit. You have to do whatever I say, whether you explicitly say it or not, but you can act a certain way, whether it's, hey, I want to go out with my friends. No, you don't. You can stay here. Or I want to go hang out with this person. No, you can stay here. Or whether it's, you know, you being a certain friend group and you're, you know, you have all this stuff that your other friends don't. So you might be, you know, not want to say flashy with it, but just kind of putting it out there in the way that people are like, man, I wish I really had that. Then guess what? They're going to go start doing whatever they can to get that, whether it's stealing, whether it's manipulating, things like that. But what it all comes down to is there are just different issues in this world. And the best thing to do is talk about it, because someone that might be listening who doesn't think that they're in that situation, like, oh, I'm really in that situation, whether good or bad. And by anyone talking about it, because again, these are taboo topics that people don't want to address, such as things like divorce, single motherhood, single fatherhood,
remarrying,
diversity and inclusion within the workforce or your local community, things like that. So there's a huge spectrum, but obviously you can't tackle all that in one day.
And obviously, like, also I think it's important to know that like people can always talk about it too, but then we have to think about what we can do actually.
Right.
Obviously, you know, I don't know.
Exactly.
It's tricky. Like with all these topics, like talking about it is the first thing, obviously, because these are topics that people don't want to talk about, or even, I mean, it's obviously uncomfortable to talk about. I mean, it's uncomfortable. It's tough, you know, where a lot, on a lot of these topics, people are on the outside looking in. Like, it's good to hear
Correct.
from people who actually have experienced these things and who have gone through it,
Right. Yep.
and to hear stories from people. But I think one of the most important things, that if you're listening and you are going through something, I think one of the biggest advice is to surround yourself with good people.
Mm-hmm.
The quote of the day, what is it? You are
what you eat. What?
no.
Oh, huh?
Like, kind of, but like, you are who you surround yourself with, or something
Yeah.
like
So
that.
yeah, I know what you're
Something
saying.
like
That's true.
that,
Which
you
is
know?
very true.
So like, we should feel comfortable. Like, if we ever are going through something, if Kalanaka anything happen between us or like our friends or whoever, you should
Right.
always have at least a few people, whether that be family, whether that be friends, whether that be aunts, uncles, teachers, mentors, people in your work, wherever you find like solace, you should be comfortable going to somebody or having somebody, whether it's person like a religious
Right.
space where you can, if you're going into therapy, whatever it is, the most important thing is to never keeping yourself completely closed off from the whole world, especially when you're in scary situations. You should always feel comfortable, and you should go and talk to somebody,
Mm-hmm.
because then, and then it's that other person's responsibility almost,
Right,
not to
right.
just
True.
take that information. You have to do something about it. And obviously every situation is different, and you have to take things with everything that the person gives you. But I think putting yourself in good company is very important.
Right. Right. It's a good
Doesn't
day.
solve
topic.
everything. Doesn't solve
Good
everything,
topics.
but these are all topics that we
Right.
can talk about.
True.
And they're
Mhm.
heavy topics,
They're heavy topics.
but they should be talked
It would be
about.
so dope
Mm,
if we could like bring someone on here to share their experiences with.
for
if They
sure.
wanted.
Like, people who are comfortable, like making that even like a part, not like every episode of our podcast, because obviously we also want to be like a balance, right? Like, at this podcast of
Right.
like having fun, doing silly stuff, talking about silly, trivial things. But I think it's also important to touch on important topics, because we want to be a tool to like help people,
True.
and to be a place where people go to like get away from,
Life.
the ugly life that we
True.
live in at sometimes. So, being a balance, but that'd be a good idea.
Yeah. Good. Good.
Yeah, for
Awesome.
sure.
Okay, guys. It's about that time.
We're going to end here.
It's about that time.
Go ahead.
Wrap
Somebody
it up.
commented saying that they wanted me to sing the So Long Farewell song.
Who commented and said that?
Somebody said that. I
Who?
remember.
Who?
Shout out to you.
You created a fake account just to
Oh, no.
a burner account. All right, go ahead, sing it.
No, thanks.
That's what. Go ahead, sing it.
So,
So
go
long,
ahead.
farewell to you,
should
my friend.
We should harmonize.
You just ruined it.
Okay.
So okay, let's try harmonizing. So
I'll be
long,
the low one.
so long,
farewell to you, my friends.
peace.